What's up guys and welcome back to On The Brick, where I'm finally talking about FireStarToys. This is a video that I've been wanting to make for a few months now, and right when I was originally going to do it, someone reached out to me wanting to share their experience. Now this is something that I have no problem with. The more experiences I can get from people, the better and more accurate review I can give. But this person, who I won't name, went way above and beyond. He actually ended up sending me a 16-page document entailing everything he wanted to talk about here. And there is a lot to talk about. In just the last year and a half, this guy placed 12 orders with FireStarToys, and while that might not seem like a lot, it is above average when purchasing from custom sellers. But before we get into any of their experiences, I should probably explain what FireStarToys actually is. Now, if you don't know, it's quite simple. They are just one of many custom LEGO sellers. And one big difference between them and other sellers I've shown off is that they are based in the Great Britain region. Look, last time I said that, people got mad that I assumed they were from there, but they use the pound sign, so forgive me, I think it's a fair assumption to make. But the single biggest difference between them and any other seller that I've shown off, or probably ever will show off, is the sheer amount of items that they actually have available. First, they sell authentic official LEGO things as well, both sets, minifigures, and parts, like parts of minifigures, but they also sell a bunch of customs, of course, and not just in Star Wars. They have a huge variety there. For instance, when I showed off my Paul Atreides minifigure a few weeks ago, someone pointed out that FireStarToys actually sells one of their own as well. However, this does bring up one of the smaller problems with this store. They try to do that thing where instead of naming something what it is, they try to give it a similar sounding name so they can get away with copyright. For instance, instead of Star Wars, they might put Space Wars. But the problem is that when you search for what it is actually called, nothing shows up. I was not able to find this Paul Atreides minifigure because it doesn't show up there. And you might be thinking, well, that's fine, this is Paul Atreides and that's not actually a minifigure of him. Sure, so here's Wilro Hood, a pretty well-known niche character from the Star Wars community, who if I type in his name, absolutely nothing shows up. So it's entirely possible that they do have the minifigure you want, but you just don't know because their search engine is pretty bad. However, like I said, they have such a huge variety, you could easily get lost going through their catalog. And if you choose to buy something, you might be tempted to make an account because for every dollar you spend, you get points. 100 star points equals a £5 discount. That's $6.32 for Americans. So it's basically exactly what LEGO used to do, where every $100 you spent was $5 off. So with the variety they have, you could easily find yourself getting those points quite rapidly. Now the last thing that I personally wanted to mention was when it comes to their custom minifigures, there are two types. There are theirs, like this Wilro Hood, but they are also a reseller for a lot of different companies. So if you can't find something from like Clone Army Customs, Big Kid Bricks, or anything like that, they might have it here, so it's worth checking. However, it's not all sunshine, and it's definitely worth pointing that out. For instance, one custom minifigure that I bought from them and showed off at the beginning of this channel was this Grief Karga. Except, as it was pointed out to me, nothing here is really custom. They didn't do any original printing or design work. These are just other LEGO pieces put together. This is more a fig barf than it is a true custom, something which was not made clear at all on the product page. Also, on a quick side note, this little disclaimer down here would not hold up in court. But that might not sound so bad, and honestly you'd be right. I still got a minifigure that I didn't have before, still made a video out of it, and everything was fine. So what about this guy who reached out to me with his 12 orders? Well, the first thing that I want to point out is that his orders were no joke. The smallest he ever made was a £6.77 order, but the largest was 168. The majority of orders that he made were over £20 and usually closer to 30 or 40. Basically, this guy was making real purchases and not just small items. And clearly he enjoyed FireStarToys enough to keep coming back. You know, this is not coming from someone who has like hatred towards them or anything. This is a fan who spent £762 or more than the cost of a UCS AT80. Now they do have some positive things to say, most of which I already talked about, including that FireStarToys has a catalog of over 10,000 items. This is clearly not just some guy working from home, this is in fact a full business. But maybe they don't have quite enough people, as unfortunately it seems like their customer service is a little lacking. And as I've said before, it doesn't matter how good your product is, if your customer service is bad, it's going to turn away customers. For instance, one reviewer on their Facebook page said they had placed an order of just some parts, including some black wings, but when the order arrived, it only had one wing included. So they promptly reached out to FireStarToys, who did respond, and asked the customer to make a second order in order to avoid custom charges. So the customer did. He placed a second order with different items, but then received the replacement wing on its own in a different shipment than those items, meaning why did he have to place a second order? That seems incredibly disingenuous to me, and personally would turn me away as a customer. If I was in his situation and that happened to me, then I would feel like I just wasted my money and would not return to them. And Facebook isn't the only place on here. They actually have several negative reviews across the board. Now they do have some good reviews too, but some of these are familiar. Some orders have just taken a long time, sometimes customer service doesn't respond. I don't speak French, so I don't know what that one says. But yeah, basically the two biggest are that the customer service was not friendly and the items took forever to arrive, if they ever did. Now, the guy who reached out and shared this to me said they had a very similar experience, which is why they looked into this. They had ordered a bunch of custom printed arms and unfortunately didn't receive them all. So they reached out to FireStarToys and even offered to make a new order so they could get the arms that were never shipped. FireStarToys agreed to this, the guy placed a new order, it came, but the arms were once again not included. Now Firestar claimed that they were dispatched separately, but the guy just never got it. He did go to his local postage, he tried to find it, assumed that it maybe got lost, and kept contacting Firestar, but they just stopped responding to him, so he believes that they never actually sent a replacement. In one of his orders as well, he wanted to buy 2 Palpatine lightsaber hilts so he could recreate the Clone Wars scene where Palpatine, Darth Maul, and Savage Opress fight, but he only ended up receiving one of the 2 hilts. However, this time it wasn't because they forgot to send it, it's because they just didn't have it. In their terms and conditions, they do say that if a product is unavailable, they will reach out via email, and this guy does admit that he didn't check his email so he missed it. However, he did reach out to Firestar, went through the whole thing again, and once again they promised to send it in the next order. But it's also not that simple. When he reached out to them, they told him that it was out of stock. But 3 days later, as he was checking their website, suddenly it was back, so he reached out to them, and only then did they promise to send it out. Unfortunately, that package was still in the mail when he sent all this to me, so I don't actually know if he ever got it or not. So what I got out of all of this is a very similar vibe to Minifig Co., where there's a really good chance your order will be fine, you'll get everything that you wanted, and it'll be okay. But if it's not, well, good luck, because they're not going to help you. And if you live in America or just not in Britain, then things just got a lot more complicated, because you probably paid a lot for shipping to get it quickly, which you won't get back, or you waited a long time to find out that they didn't send you what you ordered. Now, mistakes are going to happen, but you need to be able to fix them in a timely and friendly manner, and it really seems like FireStarToys just doesn't do that. However, there is one huge downside to all of this anyway. Quite frankly, they're just too expensive. There's not really a reason to go to them to buy any of this when you can just go to the original sellers 99% of the time and get it for cheaper. For instance, Clone Army Customs sells Hunter from the Bad Batch for $34.50, but that comes with an antenna, face, backpack, and 2 weapons. While FireStarToys sells the same minifigure for $45.50, which is $11 more expensive, but it only includes the face and backpack. If you want anything else, it has to be purchased separately. It's the same thing with Clone Army Customs' version of Echo. $37.50 and it includes 2 custom blasters, but on FireStarToys it's $49.40 and it includes no weapons. And it's not just the minifigures either. For instance, Brick Arms weapons cost about $1 to $3 here in the US, but on FireStarToys it's $3 minimum no matter what. Now, I fully understand having a markup or an upcharge for reselling minifigures because you need to make your money, but $10 is a 30% markup, which means you are paying 30% more for less value. Most companies will only do about 10 to 20% anyway, so 30%, as the English say, is just taking the piss. So, long story short though, FireStarToys isn't necessarily bad. They're just trying to make some money and have a lot to deal with. But they're definitely not my first choice, and I don't think they should be yours either. If you live in Europe, it's definitely a better option, as you can get those Clone Army customs and whatnot far easier than buying through them originally. But if you live in the US, it's just not that great of an option, to be completely honest. And while the point system is nice, honestly, just go to the original sellers and save yourself the money. But like I said, I know not everyone can do that, so it's not that bad of an option if you really don't have any other choices. And let me know your experiences with them in the comments down below. Have you had any good or bad experiences? I would love to hear them, and so would others. And let me know what other companies or places I should review, as I would love to hear what you guys want to see. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't already, please consider checking me out on Instagram, Discord, and of course on Patreon, where you can join all these wonderful people on screen, get shoutouts like Jonathan, and extra entries into the monthly minifig giveaway. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.